Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Sam.
And I'm Taylor.
Today we are taking a deep dive into something truly spectacular.
We're looking at sources focused on one of the greatest natural archives India holds. The coral reefs around Havelock Island, part of the Andaman archipelago.
And our mission for this deep dive is a bit unique. We're exploring how you can experience this entire complex world in a really accessible way.
Through the semi-submarine journey.
Exactly. So for you, the listener, this is basically a shortcut to understanding one of the oldest living systems on Earth.
Right, and without needing a tank or a regulator or any specialized training.
I love that. You know, the journey to Havelock itself kind of sets the stage, doesn't it?
It really does. If you're approaching by boat or plane, you see the ocean just shift.
It goes from that pale, almost clear turquoise over the shallow reef.
And then, bam, it drops off into this deep, dark blue.
That color change is such a perfect hint, isn't it? It's like a warning that you're crossing a threshold.
You are. You're moving over this vast engine of light that's hidden just below the surface.
Yeah.
And the semi-submarine, well, it mirrors our deep dive. It gives you all that complexity effortlessly.
Okay, so let's get into the experience itself. The sources call the vessel a glass-walled world.
It's a great description. It's like a portal. You just step on board, walk down a few steps, and you're there. You're completely immersed.
I think that solves such a huge problem for people. I mean, accessibility in these natural spaces is key.
It absolutely is.
Huh?
This just removes all the physical barriers.
So non-swimmers, families with young kids.
Older travelers, anyone wary of the open water, they all get to see the reef with the same clarity as a scuba diver. No effort, just immediate access.
When we talk about these reefs, we always hear the same description, right?
Mm-hmm. The rainforests of the sea?
Yeah, but the sources we looked at argue that that metaphor is actually pretty limiting.
It really, really undersells them. A rainforest is a collection of plants. A coral reef, that's something else entirely.
So what's a better way to think about it?
A city built by animals.
A city implies construction, architecture.
Exactly, and the architects are these tiny little things called coral polyps. And when I say tiny, I mean no bigger than a grain of rice.
Wow.
But for millennia, they've been pulling calcium carbonate right out of the seawater and just depositing it layer by layer by layer.
You know what we're seeing? That whole structure is basically a skeleton they're building in slow motion.
That's it. They're building these immense fortresses of stone. It's hard to wrap your head around that shift in scale. A microscopic animal creating geology.
And the view from the glass deck must be just staggering. The sources say the variety you see is a vital sign.
It's the key index of the reef's health. You know, diversity equals stability.
So what kind of diversity are we talking about? What would you actually see?
Oh, you'd glide past these incredible forests of branching staghorn coral. They look like frozen antlers reaching for the sunlight.
And what about those huge round ones?
The brain corals.
Yeah.
Huge, bulbous things. They get the name from those maze-like ridges all over the surface.
Right.
And then you have the smooth plate corals stacked up like underwater pagodas.
It sounds like a living art gallery. Let's go back to that stability link. Why does more architectural variety mean a more stable ecosystem?
Because different shapes create different homes, different microhabitats.
Okay.
The branching staghorns, they offer quick cover for small fish. The big brain corals have these deep crevices where larger fish can rest and hide.
So if you only had one flat type of coral, you'd only support one type of life.
Exactly. A diverse structure creates resilience. It's the ultimate lesson in biological urban planning.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting for me, the colors. Looking through that filtered light, you see these almost unreal purples, greens, even fluorescent pinks. Where does that come from?
Well, it's not the coral itself. The coral animal is actually mostly translucent, a kind of off-white.
So what's making it glow?
It's a tiny tenant living inside the coral's tissue. Microscopic algae called zooxanthellae.
Wait, so the coral isn't painting itself, it's just hosting billions of tiny photosynthetic roommates.
That's a perfect way to put it. And it's not a casual arrangement. It's one of the most successful partnerships in the history of life on Earth.
The sources called it the 200 million year deal. So what are the terms?
It's a perfect energy exchange. The algae photosynthesize using the sunlight and that clear water, and they produce sugars.
Food for the coral.
Up to 90% of the coral's energy needs.
And in return, what did the algae get?
They get a safe home, a protected, light-filled limestone palace to live in. And the coral provides waste products, like carbon dioxide and nitrogen, that the algae need as fertilizer. It's a perfect closed-loop economy.
200 million years. That partnership has survived ice ages, continents drifting apart.
Mass extinctions.
When you see those colors, you're not just looking at something pretty, you're looking at stability proven over geologic time.
It's an incredible lesson in resilience, isn't it? That sometimes the smallest partnerships are the ones that last the longest.
Okay, so if that's the science, the location must be pretty important too. The sources say Elephant Beach's lagoon is a perfect stage. Why there?
Clarity. It all comes down to clarity. Oceanographers say the Andaman Shelf is one of the cleanest, most optically transparent zones in India.
So the light can get through.
Exactly. If the water was murky, the light wouldn't penetrate, the algae couldn't work their magic, and the colors would just be muted. Elephant Beach is like a high-definition screen.
And on that screen, you start to see the cast of characters. What kind of marine life can you actually see from the submarine?
Oh, you see the residents of the city? You'll see these big schools of Sergeant Major fish flash by with their bold stripes flickering.
The quick ones. What about the heavy lifters? The sources mentioned a kind of infrastructure team.
Ah, the parrotfish. They're beautiful, but they're also geological forces. They get these strong, beak-like mouths.
For what?
For grinding up coral. They literally scrape off algae and limestone to feed, and they process the stone.
Wait a second. So those perfect powdery white sand beaches in the Andamans?
You're telling me that sand is basically parrotfish digestive byproduct?
A huge amount of it is, yes. So every postcard picture of that perfect beach is thanks to them.
I will never look at sand the same way again. That's incredible.
It really connects the whole system, doesn't it? And if you're lucky, you might see a squadron of blue-striped snapper just sweep by in this perfectly coordinated, shimmering line.
And they're all there for the same reason.
They are. They gather in the shallows because that's where the light is. And the coral feeds on light, so the entire food web converges right there. It's a completely integrated, sun-powered system.
You know, I think most of us see reefs as these ancient, static things, like an underwater mountain range. Beautiful, but frozen.
That's the common assumption. But this experience really reveals their restless vitality. The whole place is a living, pulsing city.
What's the evidence of that? What do you actually see that shows it's alive?
You see movement everywhere. You'll watch individual coral polyps, like stretching out like tiny star-shaped hands to filter the water.
Mesmerizing. And you see the currents sway through the soft corals, like underwater grass blowing in a wind you can't feel.
Yeah.
And maybe the most subtle thing, you see tiny creatures constantly emerging from holes in the rock. It's as if the stone itself is breathing.
And that contrast between the fast fish and the slow polyps brings up that idea of the great time shift.
It's the most profound takeaway, I think. Coral reefs build at the pace of centuries. That's their clock.
While we rush around at the pace of minutes.
Right. And sitting behind that glass, it forces you to slow down. It makes you feel time slip into a different scale.
You leave feeling like you visited an older, slower realm.
It's humbling. To realize all of that was built by things smaller than your fingernail, working together for millions of years, it really puts our own human time scales in perspective.
It does. And the sources offer such a perfect way to transition back, to connect that underwater world to the land.
Yeah, that anecdote was fantastic. They say the perfect counterbalance to the vivid colors of the reef
is the lingering sunset at Radhanegar Beach.
Exactly. It's like you leave the underwater cathedral of stone and light.
And you emerge to witness the sky's evening temple, the oranges and purples reflecting on the water.
Both experiences just remind you that Havelock is inviting you into stories that are so much older than our own.
It is. You know, it brings us back to that 200 million year partnership between the coral and the algae. That tiny, resilient deal that built these magnificent cities of stone.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What seemingly small partnerships in our own human history, built on mutual reliance, will show that same kind of resilience and endure for centuries.
A fascinating and humbling thought. A perfect place to end our deep dive into Havelock's living architecture.
If you decide to travel to India, we have a recommendation. 5 Senses Tours organizes tours across India which are immersive cultural experiences.
You can email contact@fivesensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact at fivesensestours.com.
Or WhatsApp to +919-845-677446.